What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, presented by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I don't like DJ Cool. Let me clear my throat. Yes, there are very few illnesses that can keep me down. And that's mainly when you're puking and you have a stomach bug. There's nothing you can do about that. You just lay on the floor and you throw up in the toilet. But yeah, so like normally I fight through everything. Last week was the throat and I couldn't speak. This week is just, I don't know, I think maybe I have strep throat again. I don't know. My throat hurts regardless of what medicine I take. And I have all the other coughs and everything else. Flu flu A is running through my house. So 2 daughters now have it. My wife, while she hasn't tested positive for it. She hasn't been to the doctor. She certainly has it. So the one person left standing is my oldest, Gianna, who's already on antibiotics from an illness last week, and me. But that's just because I'm like a tomato can boxer. No matter how much punishment I take, I don't go down. Or if I go down, I get back up. So I'll certainly have CTE or brain damage from the illnesses. But we're here. We're live. We're hot. As somebody once said, it's interesting. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was, because it was the NBA Cup championship. It's like NBA Cup #1, Super Bowl #2, if I'm ranking my favorite sporting events. And then once Milwaukee wins and Doc gets another championship, I can't go to sleep. It was like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'm still trying to find post game. I'm looking on Twitter. So congratulations to Doc Rivers. Another championship. It's been a while since he's had a championship. Another championship. The NBA Cup. I know people were glued to their TVs last night watching that. I thought that LeSean McCoy on his show on Fox Sports 1 FS1 with Acho and James Jones. I mean, really, it's a show of takes. These guys just have takes. And James Jones, a couple weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, it was Jalen Hurts wasn't good enough for something. Acho, God, he's a nice enough guy. He's just nauseating. He never shuts up. And they're learning the tape game, which means they don't even know what they're saying half the time. They're just putting a take out there because that's what they're being told and coached to do. And then you move on to the take the next day. It's like it's our sports society today is takes. LeSean McCoy had a take yesterday, although I don't think it was really a take. I thought it was a very interesting comment, and I happen to agree with him. So Tyler Zulli, we're working from home again today. I believe the plumbing was fixed, or that's not while we're home today. Apparently, everybody from PHLY is sick. Like it is in fact, not a pandemic, maybe an epidemic. It's at this point. Tyler, good morning.
Good morning to you as well. Yeah, it's become every man for himself, every woman for themselves, every person for themselves at PHLY at this point, because I think there may be about three healthy people at the entire studio. I know Renee is still relatively healthy. And we basically told her, stay away from us. Don't
right.
Get sick
you won't be healthy very long.
Yeah, it's the holiday season. We don't want you to get sick. So we're all kind of dropping like flies here a little bit to varying levels of degree.
Yep.
But we're
Jamie Lynch had the because there's the stomach bug that's going around because my sister-in-law and her entire house had that. And that is for 24 hours, you're laying on the bathroom floor, not being able to move because all you want to do is puke. And then the second day is your body's recovering from feeling like that, but you're pretty much done throwing up. So
Jamie said to me yesterday, he said, wouldn't wish this stomach bug on my worst enemy. Haven't been this sick in forever.
Yeah, that's the worst. And so I was texting with him yesterday. I'm like, stomach bug or flu? Because the flu's in my house. And he's like, stomach bug. And I'm like, well, here's probably what you have in store. He's like, yep. He's like, I couldn't get out of bed, like literally couldn't move. So yeah, so that's why we are home today. We'll see about tomorrow. But so Shady said, and we'll play the cut. Shady said this is the best Eagles team of all time. They haven't won a Super Bowl yet. We know that. But heading into the last 3 games of the season, LeSean McCoy spells out why he believes the Eagles are the best Eagles team of all time. Here he is yesterday on FS1.
And DJ might get mad at me and all my boys, but this is the best Eagles team I've ever seen.
You're not wrong about that.
I mean, let's be honest here.
It's hard to find a hole in them.
The defense is phenomenal.
Yep.
You got an all-pro, almost MVP in the backfield. Saquon Barkley is doing his thing.
No question.
This is the best Don't get mad at me on my Kelsey. You know you my favorite. Jason Kelce, you know what I mean? This is the best offensive line I've ever seen. Ever seen in football.
Philly.
Y'all tell me. So they pass block great. They run block great. I mean, they do everything. Because they got size, they got speed, they athletic, they got tackles, they got guards, they got centers.
Because
they got backups. Okay, the tight end is really, really good.
Yeah.
Then the wide receivers, I've never seen a better wide receiver tandem in Philadelphia.
There it is. So and for him to say that, and he said, he's like, D-Jack, I'm sorry. You know, you're one of my best friends. Kelsey, I'm sorry, you're one of my best friends. And you know what? He's right. Name me a better Eagles team. Hey, I get it. They didn't win a Super Bowl yet, so ultimately that's what you're going to be judged on. But it's kind of like the Phillies team. The best Phillies team from that run didn't win the World Series. It's tough to win. Like Tom Brady and the Patriots, they went undefeated in the regular season. The Giants, through miraculous catch and just like almost needed to play a perfect game, kind of like the Eagles needed to play a perfect game on offense to beat the Patriots. So like a lot of times you'll have the best team that doesn't win the Super Bowl, but Shady said it. Best wide receiver tandem in history. Yeah, they're better than D-Jack and Jeremy Maclin. Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson are very good. Close second. DeVonta and AJ for sure. Running back. Shady even admits to this. Saquon has more yards than I did. Yeah. LeSean McCoy's a hell of a running back. So Saquon has a long way to go when you want to put him in the same conversation as Shady as far as an Eagles running back. This year, it's easy to say that. Jalen Hurts. You know, like, say what you want about him. James Jones that was on that panel and said a lot about him. So is Acho. But Jalen Hurts, would I take him over Nick Foles or Carson Wentz? Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, so no one's going to say yeah, but still. And then he talked about the offensive line, but he didn't talk about the defense. And that's the biggest thing. You tell me a better Eagles defense. I'll wait. Black Gritty's going to join us later on in the show. We've talked about this before. I'll wait. And this is what separates them. Because the offense is like, all right, well, you know, I'm not sure about Jalen Hurts if you're still going to play that game of, like, I don't know if he can pass it. And listen, he's limited in what he can do in the passing game in some weeks. This defense is better than 2022 by far, by the way. I know 2022 had the all-time sack record, but linebackers weren't great. The back end of the secondary was old and got exposed by the end of the season. 2017, I love that team. They had a great rotation at the defensive line. And their linebackers were also good too. Nigel Bradham was playing at a Pro Bowl level. Their secondary, Ron Darby, Jalen Mills, Malcolm was obviously awesome. But they were reliant on getting to the quarterback. And this team doesn't have an elite pass rush necessarily. They're good at getting to the quarterback. They don't have an elite pass rush. Secondary, linebackers, defensive line, not even close to 2017 or 2022. This defense is so much better. You can make the argument this is the best defense since. I mean, I was thinking about some of the teams with Ike, some of Ike's teams, where you had, like, my favorite of those teams was 2002. Good, you still had Trot, you still had Bobby Taylor, you still had Troy Vincent. B-Dog obviously is very much in his prime. You had Hugh in his prime. You had that was a really, really good defense. That was a really, really good secondary. I think this defense is better. Just top to bottom, it's close. You have to go back into the 90s, probably the 91 defense, to find a better Eagles defense. They're number one against in total yards. They're number one in total points. Number one. You know, like, we're not inflating it because it's our team. I think if you look around the NFL right now and you listen to objective, not takesmen like Nick Wright or whatever, now Skip is on the Eagles or winning the Super Bowl or whatever, not the takesmen, the actual analysts and just people with honest opinions that aren't doing takes. And this is the best Eagles team I've ever seen. And it's not even close. The Donovan teams, those teams, they were good. The TO team, 2004 team, legitimately was an awesome team. That's the only team that I would put up against this Eagles team. But for me, the defense. So yeah, like Shady put it out there yesterday, and it got a lot of play for good reason. It's an interesting comment. I agree with him. This is easily the best Eagles team. I got to win, but I would agree with LeSean McCoy, and I think a lot of Eagles fans would as well. And I know that recency bias, we live in the moment, right? Like, but when you kind of take a step back and you look back at some previous Eagles teams, they're at the very least, there's a strong conversation about this team and some of the other teams. As we have headlines coming up with Tyler, but I want to know what Tyler thinks about LeSean McCoy's comments. So Shady saying that, because, like, for instance, I worked with Ike for a long time. Ike's not giving it up for the most part that this team would beat their team. Like the 2017 Super Bowl team, he's like, I know they won the Super Bowl, but I'll take my team over them any day, because he played on that team and he believes in that team. Shady's giving it up. And listen, Shady's teams didn't have the success that this team has had and is going to have.
There's a level of, like, in the moment that I think is a good thing and a bad thing when you talk about how great a team can be. Because the bad thing is, I think there's recency bias, because it's the most immediate response to a team you have, right? Because it's visceral, it's raw, it's real. You're thinking about a team in the moment, in the season, that is playing some excellent football and probably is right now the best team in the NFL. Detroit has scuffled a little bit. Kansas City's defense is elite. Their offense has not been particularly good. We talked about their largest point differential in a game was this past week when they beat the Browns. They only scored 21 points, and it was a 14-point margin of victory. The Eagles have claimed to being one of, if not the best teams in the NFL currently. With that being said, I also think the immediacy of this team also hurts them a little bit, because you think about teams that completed the job or had a full season. And you brought it up, right? If you win the Super Bowl, then you get elevated on a pedestal. You brought up the Phillies run. I think you take it a step further. To me, the best team of that 5-year or 6-year run or whatever it was, not only didn't win the World Series, they didn't even win a playoff series.
Yeah. Well.
The 2011 Phillies team was the best of that group. I don't think it was close. Doc, Lee, Hamels, Oswalt, pitching staff, right? Offense was still electric. It was still part of that dynastic run that they were trying to put together. They didn't win a single playoff series. So people look at that year and go, man, what a team. But, comma, but, and everything that follows is a detriment to the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah, the Cardinal series. Yeah.
It's hard to say, is a team the best team in franchise's history before the season culminates.
Right.
You could look at it from a talent perspective, and I think that's what McCoy was doing. I think from a collection of talent, there's an argument to be made that, yeah, he's correct. The receiver tandem is the best that the Eagles have ever had. The Eagles have had good receivers and great receivers over their years. Harold Carmichael, Terrell Owens for the one season, Deshaun Jackson. But, like, tandem-wise, I'm not sure there's ever been this type of a tandem.
Yeah.
Talk about the running game. This is actually a pretty rich history in terms of running backs for a franchise. Shady, B. West, Wilbert Montgomery. You talk about Deuce Staley, you talk about Charlie Garner, and then you go back and you talk about the 40s and 60s, 48, 49, 60
team. Where I
team.
start. Yep.
This is a pretty rich running back franchise. For LeSean McCoy to be one of those guys to say this dude's might be better than me, I think that takes some guts, right? Because you don't want
he strolled right into town and had one of the best seasons ever by an Eagle in any position.
Right. So
amazing.
So my point is, like, if you look at it from a roster construction standpoint, and I think that's what Shady is doing here, there is merit to say this is one of, if not the best rosters constructed in at least in recent franchise memory. Because the 90s teams had great defenses in Randall, very, very bad offensive line.
Terrible offensive line, bad coaching.
The 2000s teams had a very good quarterback in Donovan. I know he's much maligned, but very, very good quarterback, a very, very good defense, and very few skill position players, right? Outside of the running back group and Terrell Owens the 1 year. The 2017 team, you brought up, like, TJ Edwards was their best linebacker. In 2022, right? Was it TJ Edwards in that gap?
Edwards, yeah. Yep.
And then 2017, you're talking about Nigel Bradham, and some of those guys. Like, It was a very, very good team. I think if you look at the collection of top-end talent and the way that they're getting productivity from guys that maybe you didn't expect, you bring up, right, like Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, the young guys in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Jalen Carter is a beast. The offensive line is playing at a near elite level, and that's with two different positions being replaced. Now, Juergens slides over, but Kelsey retires. You slide Juergens over. He's new at that position. You bring Mekhi Becton in, who's been a tackle for most of his career. He's been rock solid at the right guard position. This is a collection of talent that, of course, we're going to have to see how the season ends, but it is an excellent football team.
It sure is. Yeah, if they lose, we're not going to think about it. I mean, you can, with the Phillies, 2010, they lost to the Giants. Giants ended up winning the World Series. That was an excellent team, too.
Yep.
Right? And, like, the team that actually won the World Series had a really good matchup. The Rays weren't a great team, and they were just rolling, and their offense carried them. That was an offensive team. Jamie Moyer led that team with wins, and he certainly wasn't a great pitcher. And then you look at Doc, the year that he had in 2010 and 2011, but it doesn't mean that you're going to win a World Series. You're running into a hot team. You get cold for a little bit. So you hope that if the Eagles finish this off, and right now, I mean, yeah, you can put them, you can put the Bills. I'm not sleeping on the Lions. I like the Chiefs. Obviously you're not counting out.
We talked about Minnesota yesterday too.
Minnesota. Everybody keeps sleeping on it because they view Sam Darnold as
Sam Darnold's the quarterback. Yep.
And you know what? He's played well.
We did the same thing to Minnesota. And now, granted, we have hindsight to say that the Eagles boat raced them in the NFC Championship game, but we did the same thing to Minnesota in 2017. It was an electric defense, good receiving core, decent run game, and it was quarterbacked by Case Keenum for most of the year, right? Because of the injuries. And I think, to me, if you said Sam Darnold's season this year and Case Keenum's season, that 2017 team, Sam Darnold's having a much better year at the quarterback position for the Vikings than Case Keenum did. I think, just based on my thoughts. I could be wrong. That's just me playing revisionist history. Maybe you got to go back and find out.
Well, I'm gonna look right now while you're talking. All right, so this year, Sam Darnold, 67.6% completion percentage, 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
He's been really good.
Man, I knew he's been good. I've been waiting for him to turn into Sam Darnold, but maybe this is Sam Darnold. All right, 2017, similar.
It's actually really close. Wow.
Same completion percentage, same exact completion percentage, 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Listen, Sam Darnold also has elite wide receivers, and a really, really good offensive head coach. That's not something they had on that 2017.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell's an excellent coach.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a good poll comparing Darnold to Case Keenum. Yeah, if you like, again, it all comes down to matchups. If I'm the Lions, the last team I want to play is the Vikings because they play, in division. Sure. They know each other very well. If it's a home game at Lincoln Financial Field and the Vikings come in, I have a lot of confidence the Eagles are winning that game. But it doesn't mean that Minnesota, based on some matchups, can't win something. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll come back and we'll get to some headlines. And also, Jay Glazer of Fox shared a very interesting story about Jalen Hurts, Brandon Graham, and Big Dom. Wait till you hear this. That's coming up next. Philly with John Marks. Don't you go anywhere. All right, let's talk about my guys at Glad Hair Restoration. I put this out there from time to time because you can hear me talk about Glad Hair Restoration, and I went there, and my results are great, and blah, 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 blah. Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical, I will put it out there. I'll say, listen, if you're interested, but maybe you've went to the website, glathairmctr.com, GLATMCTR.com, and you've seen before and after pictures. Maybe you went to my Instagram at John Marks Media. You see my before and after pictures. I chronicled my hair restoration procedure in 2021. Just got to scroll down a bit to see the day of the procedure, day after, a couple days after. I put a video up there of what I looked like. Maybe it was like the next week. But like that's a great way to look. But you can also reach out to me. So if you slide them into my DMs are open on Instagram and Twitter, or you can email me. John Marks Media, JONMARKS Media. That's also my handles on social media at gmail.com. As somebody did yesterday, actually DM'd me on Instagram. and said, hey, been listening to you forever. Love the show on PHLY. Am I a good candidate for glad hair restoration? And I'm like, well, let me take a look. Like, yep, you're a good candidate. You kind of have the same hairline I did when I got it done. And then I sent him some pictures, gave him some more information or whatever. And then I said, hey, you want me to hand you off to my girl Lisa and the glad hair team? And yep, so I sent the email, gave the introduction. I can do that for you. So if you just want more information, you want to see some additional pictures that I have, email me, DM me, JONMARKS Media across all handles or at gmail.com. Glatt Hair Restoration, call them 610-980-4000 or again, glatthairmctr.com. All right, Central City Toyota. Uncle Jamie. Now, this is a big spot for him tomorrow. He's going to give his college locks of the week, sponsored by Central City Toyota, because we have the college football playoff, and it's a big one. It's the first one with the expanded field. Oh, and Penn State going up against SMU. So stay tuned for that tomorrow, but it's Toyotathon at Central City Toyota. You know what that means? Oh, man. You know I like deals. Whenever I go to Rite Aid, I'm looking for deals. Even if I don't want the product, if it's a good deal, I'll buy it. Well, I would love an upgrade on a ride. Probably not ready for it right now, but Central City Toyota has an amazing selection of certified Toyotas that are ready to move, and they're amazing. CentralCityToyota.com. If you want to see their complete inventory, it's a great website. CentralCityToyota.com. You can see everything that they do. I also know in the service department this month, I took advantage of it. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th free. By the way, folks, tires ain't cheap these days, especially for a minivan. So I had to go my Highlander and the Sienna minivan back to back because we both needed tires. That was like $2,400. I don't have that kind of money. CentralCityToyota.com. Buy 3, get 4 free. Get your car serviced. It's an amazing dealership, and my Uncle Jamie is the general manager. So if you need something, just go in there and yell, let me talk to Uncle Jamie. CentralCityToyota.com. That is the website. Check them out. CentralCityToyota.com. And a big week for Uncle Jamie in his picks. We're looking forward to that. All right. Well, listen.
I'll be honest with you, John. If he picks SMU tomorrow, I'm going to feel a little less comfortable than I did because Uncle Jamie's been on it for the most part. He's been really good.
He's been on it. He reads the lines very well. Yeah, like for me, just going into it, this is a Penn State line, and I believe Penn State wins this game by double digits.
Yeah, I think it's a favorites line across the board in the first round. I mean, the only one I think Notre Dame is 8.5 or 7.5 or whatever it is. That one I'm still up in the air on, but like Texas is double digits. What's the other game? Ohio State and Tennessee is a game.
I like that one.
That one's
a big line too.
It's 8.5 for two teams that I think are fairly comparable. Like, so I don't know if this is a slight to Tennessee. I don't know if it's praise to Ohio State. But I thought that was going to be a close game, and when that line came out, I was kind of surprised.
And you know, it's I don't know why I've heard nobody, and we'll get to the headlines in a second, but I've heard nobody criticize Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator of Ohio State. Does that offense look good?
Not against Michigan, it didn't.
No, like this guy, we thought he was the next Belichick. We're so dumb. We thought he was the next Belichick in this town for a season and like a half.
Acceptance is the first step, John.
Dude, I didn't want to. By the time they ran Deshaun and LeSean out of town, I had already sniffed out Chip Kelly as a total fraud. But it took a while, man. I was drunk with the Chip Kelly juice. Oh, look at the music playlist they're playing in training camp. Oh, this is so cool. The guy knows nothing about offense. He has a gimmick. He had the gimmick. And once guys started faking injuries and staying down, the gimmick was over. The idiot, Chip Kelly. Yeah, but Ohio State isn't very good this year. And Chip Kelly, first-year offensive coordinator. That fraud left a head coaching job at UCLA, which you're actually seeing a lot of people leaving head coaching jobs to take coordinator jobs at better universities, to be the offensive coordinator. It took a huge pay cut because he knew he was going to get crushed at UCLA. So he goes to Ohio State. That offense hasn't been very good. That Michigan game right there. I can't believe no one talks about Chip Kelly. I'd be roasting Chip Kelly.
So here's
Ryan Day sucks.
Here's the thing with that Ohio State offense, too. They have, in my opinion, the best running back tandem in college football. It's not close. As much as I love Nick Singleton and Katron Allen at Penn State, Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are the best running back tandem in college football. I would take either one of those guys on most other college football teams to be the bell cow. the fact that they're together is makes them even better. Jeremiah Smith is one of the best young receivers in college football.
For sure.
He is excellent. That is an offensive line that's gone through turmoil and is still playing well. They've been down 2 left tackles throughout the course of the season this year, and the O-line still playing well. Will Howard was always the question mark for me. Was Will Howard going to be able to be the guy for an Ohio State team that had expectations of winning the Big Ten, going to the college football playoff, potentially winning the college football playoff? I didn't like Kyle McCord. I thought Kyle McCord stunk. Kyle McCord played extremely well at Syracuse this year. I believe he was top 3 in passing yards in college football this past season. Will Howard's okay to me. Will Howard doesn't make a ton of big plays, but he doesn't make a plethora of mistakes. This is an offense that should, on most nights, be in the high 20s and 30s.
Yeah, Chip Kelly's a total fraud. All right, let's get to headlines. I know that probably at the top of your headlines, like, all right, let's start seeing some stats about Doc and how good of a coach he is during the NBA Cup. Because
is he the best NBA coach Cup of all time?
I think that you can make the case that he is the GOAT of NBA Cup coaches.
Well, it's him or Darvin Ham, so you make your pick.
Nothing short of miraculous. Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks last night. Where were you? What will be your defining and shining moment from the NBA Cup with Doc Rivers walking off the court, a champion once again? Headlines with Tyler Zulli. Tyler, what's up?
Yeah, our headlines are brought to us by our friends at Glad Hair Restoration, because if you want to look better about yourself and feel better about yourself, remember, Glad Hair is not just about restoration. They're about innovation as well. Call 610-980-4000 or head on over to gladhairmctr.com to get started. I guess we will start there, right? It is news. The Bucks win the NBA Cup championship over the Oklahoma City Thunder 97-81. After the game, the team, Doc Rivers and the team, decided to leave all their champagne and Michelob Ultra sponsored beers on ice. They didn't really celebrate too much. They said they want to focus on the season instead. I don't know about you, but I get amped up to celebrate the NBA Cup Finals. I feel like I was a little bit left outside yesterday. What are we doing? Where's the celebration?
Well, I mean, honestly, any team that actually celebrates that, and like the Lakers last year are just complete frauds for that. Who the hell cares? Nobody cares about it. We're all saying this with our tongue in cheek. But yeah, like they're like, oh, we're not celebrating just yet. We still have work to do. Yeah, good job, guys. Congratulations. What a tone that Doc Rivers is setting with that team. What could possibly go wrong? Could they be the first team to win double-double? 2 championships in the same NBA season. It probably has never been done before. Just saying.
Well, no, because the NBA Cup, I believe, is only 2 years old, isn't it? Oh, you were making a joke. I see what you're doing. Yeah, so if you care, the Bucks won it. If you don't, we'll move on. Let's talk about some actual news. The Yankees, after missing out on Juan Soto the last week in the free agent sweepstakes, acquire Cody Bellinger from the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs will also send $5 million to help offset the pretty substantial contract for next year for Cody Bellinger. In exchange, the Yankees are sending righty Cody Petit to the Cubs to complete the deal. So Bellinger will make $27.5 million this year, and then has a $25 million $25 million player option for 2026. So they get their center fielder, or let me rephrase that. They get a center fielder. I don't know if that necessarily means that they're going to put him in right, or if Judge will move to right and he'll play center.
He had said yesterday that he's playing center and Judge is moving to right.
That makes sense. I mean, Judge is a fine defender out in center field, but Bellinger's a pretty good defender.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Judge can even play center field in the pinch, he's 6'8", and he's playing center field as an everyday center fielder. So yeah, I think he's better suited to play right field. But listen, good trade for the Yankees. I know when it happened, a lot of Phillies fans were like, well, there's another name that was talked about with the Phillies. I'll continue to say it. They can't add a lot of payroll.
They were never going to take on Cody Bellinger's $27 million. Because here's the thing: not only is he $27 million, but if he doesn't play well enough, he's going to opt into the player option, and they're straddled with 25. And then all of a sudden, the flexibility that they have with some of the guys coming off the books this year is gone because it's going to Cody Bellinger.
That's true. Yeah, it's true.
In a year, by the way, you have to consider: are you paying Ranger Suarez?
Right, which I saw yesterday. Now he signed with Scott Boras. Ranger
Suarez. You and I have both kind of been on the train that this feels like Ranger Suarez's last year in Philly. This really feels like Ranger Suarez's last year in Philadelphia.
Yeah, unfortunately, what we're going to learn as Phillies fans is that you can't sign everybody. I know the Eagles seem that when was the last player the Eagles actually lost that they were like, you're like, damn, I didn't want to lose that guy. But in baseball, the Phillies have one of the top payrolls in baseball. When you sign Trey Turner long term, when you have a big contracts for Schwarber, for Castellanos, for the pitchers, like Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler are making a ton of money, right? They just signed Chris Sanchez. When they signed Chris Sanchez to the long term deal, for me, that was a signal of Ranger Suarez probably isn't coming back. Now, they'll keep an open mind to it, and he'll go out on the market. But if I'm a team that is desperate for a starting pitcher, that is a playoff type team that needs a starting pitcher, or a playoff team that needs a starting pitcher, for me, Ranger Suarez is worth $20 to $25 million a year on a 4-year deal or more. Because while it may not end up necessarily being worth it at the end of the contract, I know what you have from Ranger Suarez in big moments. And is there a little bit of an injury concern, wear and tear? All right, like maybe a little bit. But the dude's got stones, and I know he's a good starting pitcher. Taijuan freaking Walker makes $18 million a year, and he blows. So if I'm signing Ranger Suarez, at least I know this dude can pitch. I think he's going to price himself, Tyler. We've been talking about it for a long time. We both think he's going to price himself out of the Phillies' plans.
Yeah.
And if they would have acquired another starting pitcher, and they still may, he could be traded because he has real value on the open market.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question still. I think it's less of to me, it's less of a chance now than it was maybe a few weeks ago that he would have been traded. I think he will be in the Phillies rotation next year. And then it's just going to be a thanks for your services. Go see what you can get in the open market type of thing. But you're right. You see all the guys that are getting big time deals. Like, to me, when both are healthy, I would take Ranger Suarez over Luis Severino. Severino just got $22 million a year. I would take Ranger Suarez over Matthew Boyd. He got like 19 a year for 2 years. Like some of these guys that are getting contracts now are mid-tier to third-tier guys. And I think Ranger Suarez clears most of them, if not all of them.
Here's the difference between him and Fried. Obviously, Fried's a better pitcher, but he gets 8 years.
Well,
and Ranger may get 4, but he's going to get it at 22, 23,
correct.
24. And the Phillies, honestly, they can't pay that.
Yeah, that's why I'm not comping them to Fried or Burns or any of these guys. They all clear Ranger Suarez, and I think we can all agree on that. They're better pitchers than Ranger Suarez. That's why they're getting the $30 million and not just $30 million, but like you said, 6, 7, 8-year deals. Like he's going to get more than Seth Lugo got last year. And I think Seth Lugo, now granted it's 1 year, but I would take after the year Lugo just had, I would take Lugo over Ranger.
Here's one thing I'll say with him signing with Boris. Boris has missed, man. There's been a couple times where he has overplayed his hand and the market wasn't there. Now, sometimes it corrects itself like it did this year with what's his name? They got the big contract from the Dodgers, the starting pitcher. Why am I blanking on his? Blake Snell. Snell didn't have the market. He had to sign a 1 year, as a 2-year deal with an opt-out because he overvalued that year. Teams weren't willing to pay it. And then he comes out and has a great year this year, and then he was able to do it. But I just
personally, Jordan Montgomery didn't. He had to opt into his player option.
There's been a lot of instances where Scott Boras has overplayed his hand and ended up costing his player. And then a lot of times guys just leave him. So I love Ranger Suarez. I would love for Ranger to pitch his entire career here.
Sure.
But you got to make hard decisions, man. You can't keep everybody. And Ranger feels like the one guy that they're not going to be able to keep.
All right, a couple more pieces of news before we get out of here. The Atlanta Falcons, just 14 games after signing Kirk Cousins to a massive contract, have benched Kirk Cousins in favor of rookie Michael Penix. Penix will start this weekend. He was the 8th overall pick in this year's draft. Probably was expected to sit for at least the full year in favor of Kirk Cousins after they signed him, but Cousins gets 14 games. He gets benched. The Falcons are on the hook for almost $28 million, no matter what happens with Kirk Cousins next year. And that's if he stays on the roster. The dead cap is ridiculous if they try to cut him at the end of this season. So Kirk Cousins is likely going to be the most expensive backup in the NFL next year, or they decide to see if he can, come back and do it again.
Here's what happens. And it's a matter of what happens with the market. $28 million for a starting quarterback is peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
So they can trade him. Let's say, and I would have to look at I need to see the teams in front of me, but a team that misses out on said player or can't go up in the draft or things like that may look at it and say, Kirk Cousins on a 1-year deal, let's kick the tires on that. Now, like I wouldn't do that if I was a franchise, but there's a lot of bad franchises out there that are just desperate to get any type of a starting quarterback. Like the Raiders and the Giants are going to solve their quarterback problems in the draft. But a team like
would Tennessee do it?
A team like Tennessee, if they want competition against it, like $28 million isn't peanuts. It's not Russell Wilson. Let's say Russell Wilson signs elsewhere because teams are like, yeah, we want to sign you. Pittsburgh makes a trade. The Saints, depending on what happens with Carr, right? Like I would say the Falcons, but he's on the Falcons right now. So there are some teams out there that may like him. I don't think you can bring him back as a backup. Either you cut him or you trade him. And they're the dummies that traded for him originally. So,
yeah. One final piece of news. We're talking about former Eagles with LeSean McCoy today. How about former Eagles quarterback Michael Vick says he's dipping his toe into the coaching world. He's going to head to the FCS level and take on the head coaching job at Norfolk State. He confirmed it yesterday that the team was finalizing a deal. Vick declined to comment on the specificities of the deal, but the 44-year-old said that he had offers from not just Norfolk State, but also Sacramento State as well. He takes the Norfolk State job. Obviously, Vick grew up in the Virginia area. It's much closer to home. So kind of a hometown signing, if you will, for Michael Vick, as he's going to get into the head coaching world as well.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love seeing these former players come in. And you wonder how it works out. Now, it doesn't have to work out like it did for Deion, right? It's a copycat world. So hire Deion. Oh, let's hire all the former players. Let's see. We'll work. I mean, in a world of NILs, and I know it's on that level of football, there's not the NILs that we're talking about with Colorado or whatever. But anybody that thought that Deion's going away, he continues to be very good in the transfer portal. I saw an Alabama player, a top Alabama defensive tackle, went over there. So it is he's certainly made college football much more interesting. So good luck to Michael Vick. I'm excited for him, man. He's see how he does. This could be a really good spot for him. Because honestly, like he's been okay doing the analysis, and I don't even know if he still works for Fox. He was doing Fox FS1 stuff for a while. I guess I haven't seen him. So good for Michael Vick. Feel good for him. For sure.
Yes, that's what we got for our headlines today, John.
All right. So coming up, we'll have Black Gritty is going to join the show. And I have two things that we're going to play for Black Gritty. First of all, Jerry Jones. This is amazing. While the Eagles are getting ready to make a run at the Super Bowl, Jerry Jones is talking about eating squirrels and raccoons. We have the audio for it. This is a true story. You got to stay tuned for that. Also coming up here on the show is what's the other piece of audio that I had? Now I'm blanking on. Oh, Jay Glazer. On the Fox Sports NFL podcast or something, shared a very interesting story about Jalen Hurts, Brandon Graham, and Big Dom. Where do you hear this? That's coming up next on Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. Back after the talk. We're back. What's up? All right, back with C-Jam Construction. That's right. So check it out. C-Jam Construction. You already know them, all right? They're probably on the chat. Mark is probably on the chat right now. Family owned and operated. So let me just tell you, when I'm looking for somebody for really anything, from restaurants to businesses, I like to go small business and I like family owned and operated. Because you know what that means? That they're going to take care of me. They're going to make sure that my goals are met. They're going to make sure that I'm happy, right? Family owned home remodeler, decks, bathrooms, flooring. And their goal is to help clients alleviate the challenges and frustrations that come with home remodeling. So, and they have a great benefit going on right now. You still can get in. Got 2 more days to go. It benefits Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Right now, through the 20th, Friday, online raffle for a chance to win a Yeti cooler and a Kelly Green Saquon Barkley jersey. And all proceeds from the raffle go towards their Chop Online Toy Drive. Raffle tickets, $10 a piece, no limit to the amount a person can donate. So, get in right now. They'll announce the winner on December 21st. People can enter by going to cjamconstruction/toy drive. The letter C, jamconstruction.com/toy drive. And again, all proceeds go towards Chop or go to Chop. And if you mention PHLY when you call them, we're a community here on PHLY. This show, Philly with John Marks, we are building a community of listeners and chatters and viewers of the show. You know what we do when we need a job done, we need work done? Let's go in the community. CJAM Construction, 856-329-2933. Mention PHLY, 15% off. 856-329-2933. Or the website, the letter C, JAM, cjamconstruction.com. Hooah. All right. Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe? Who actually has a leaky pipe these days? Knock on wood. I haven't had a leaky pipe, but you know what? I've had a ton of things that I needed done, from HVAC stuff to refrigerator fails, installation, right? Like, what do? They deliver the refrigerator. They're like, oh yeah, no, we're not connecting that line. We don't deal with copper piping, right? What do? Well, I certainly can't do anything. Ace Hardware Home Services. Whenever you need something, remember what they're bringing to the table. Experienced local plumbers and techs. They handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. And they want to know your goals, right? The job isn't completed until you're satisfied. So visit them online, Ace Hardware Home Services. The power of the Ace brand, striving to be the best, most trusted provider of home preservation services in the business. Residential maintenance, installation, home repair services that are available 24/7. Emergency services, plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical. Free estimates. Service you can trust, satisfaction guaranteed. They will make it right no matter what. AceHardwareHomeservices.com to get started on your next project. AceHardwareHomeservices.com.
What do you mean, by the way, who has a leaky pipe anymore? I think the PHLY building is keeping Ace in business single-handedly.
Yeah, well, my house wasn't built in 1915. No, I'm gonna have a major plumbing issue now that I said that. Damn it.
Yeah, you just cursed yourself.
What am I doing?
On top of all the sick that's happening in your household right now, you're going to go home and you're going to get a call. Hey, John, the sink burst.
I got to tell you.
That's my fault. My bad. Bad karma.
We were at urgent care on Sunday with the daughter 3 and daughter 2. Daughter 2 had a really high fever, flu A. Wasn't surprised at all. Daughter 3 did not have the flu. So then she has a high fever yesterday. I'm like, all right, call the pediatrician. She's like, yeah, we can get you in. So 4:30 yesterday, I'm at the pediatrician. And I'm like, she's going to have flu A. Yep, flu A. So now I got flu A. My wife yesterday woke up. She hasn't been tested. Flu A. I have a sore throat that will not get, even when you take Dayquil or Nyquil, it still feels like I have razor blades. If I have strep throat 3 times in the freaking 2 months, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then my one daughter, who is also, she's still on antibiotic from like a sinus infection or something. She's the only one that's left standing, me and her. And I'm hurting, man. But anyway, hope everybody's okay out there. Cause it's, isn't that like, dude, I hate to be the guy that's like, well, I walked to school in 5 feet of snow, which I never did, but
uphill both ways.
And like, I'm not telling you that I didn't miss school as a kid. My poor kids love school and want to go to school. They're sick all the time. And all the kids are sick all the time. All their friends are sick all the time. Like in school, because now you have access to your teachers via text or email. So you can pretty much talk to them whenever you want to. They're like, yeah, 8 people are out of class today. Jeez. I think we have 6 that are with the flu. And it's like, oh my God. What are we doing here?
It's funny you say that. So my mom's right here. She can hear everything I'm saying. My mom's been a nurse. My mom's been a nurse her whole career. So my mom has always been the if you're not bleeding from the ears or violently projectile vomiting, you're going to school. You know what I mean? So we were always like, yeah, I'm not even going to try to fake it because it's not worth it. Right. My brother tried for years. He was really bad at it. My brother wasn't sneaky. He thought he was, but he was so terrible at it.
So funny you bring that up. I remember trying to heat up the old thermometer with like in hot water so I could beat up my mom, be like, oh, it's 100. Like, why is your temperature 107? Like, what? Oh, I'm not feeling well. Yeah,
John, you're 145. Are you okay?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I think my brother the one time tried to dump the oatmeal in the toilet. Like if you dump the oatmeal, it looks like throw up. Yeah. He wasn't good at it.
I never heard that before. Oh my God. The oatmeal in the toilet. Yeah, you know the signs of faking. My kids love school. They try to fake that
That's
they're not
awesome.
sick. They try to fake not sick. Like yesterday, my daughter so flu A, the first one that had flu A, was a little bit better yesterday. So it's like, yeah, I think you go to school tomorrow. She comes downstairs this morning, 102. Like, Jesus. Oh my God. All right. Well, listen, Black Gritty's on the clock. I don't know if he's connected right now, but he's gonna. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, you sound sick too, BG.
Oh no, it's just I don't wake up in the morning. I usually go to bed around this time, so I'm just on the, I'm on the wrong side of things.
What's up?
Good morning,
buddy?
guys.
How are you?
I'm good. I slept pretty good, but I'm up early. TZ knows I'm telling all the time I be snoozing until noon, but for you guys, I wake up.
You told me your sleep schedule one day. I'm like, are you a vampire?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
you were upset. You looked at me like I was insane. You're like, okay, when's the lie gonna stop? Like I was like, nah, bro, that's how it is.
Best chance to get an immediate response from Black Gritty is about 4 a.m.
Yeah, and
I
Johnny
wake
Marks
up at 4 a.m. and I'll have a message from or a text from Black Gritty, and I'll respond back, and he's back 13 seconds later with a response.
Because that's when I'm going to bed. I used to call Johnny Marks. It was, you know, I was like, ask Johnny Marks. Johnny Marks from 2 to 6.
My overnight national shift, and he would call in his Black Gritty, and the screener Tyler would hang up on him.
Yeah, they bang on me,
and I have to tell him no. That's his moniker, Black Gritty.
Yeah.
Let him on the air. He's not some kook.
Yeah.
Well, he is.
It does sound crazy though. Yeah, definitely crazy.
All right, so Black Gritty, I want to play this.
Yes.
So Jerry Jones was on a 105.3 The Fan yesterday. He does his weekly segment, and for whatever reason, he was in a good mood. I mean, would you be in a good mood if you're 6-8? And it's another year of I saw Jeff Kavanaugh, actually of our sister network down in Dallas. These poor Cowboys fans and even in the media are finally realizing this year that the Cowboys don't really want to win. They're cheap.
Yeah.
They could spend money. Like, so here's what Jeff Kavanaugh tweets out. He says, Eagles, 12 players average over $10 million salary, $63 million in dead money this year. Aggressively added free agents via cap manipulation, trying to win Super Bowl. Cowboys, 7 players averaging over $10 million salary, $27 million in dead money, cried poverty, signed no one. And he said it hurts a little. And then I was looking in the replies. You know, there's still probably like 40% of the people that are like, you don't know what you're talking about. They were up against the cap. By the way, they were up against the cap because they wouldn't re-sign Dak, and they wouldn't give CeeDee Lamb a new contract, where you could have just put those cap numbers at nothing.
Yeah.
They made no effort to sign anybody. They said they couldn't afford friggin'
Derrick Henry,
and they gave Ezekiel Elliott $3 million, $6 million less than Derrick Henry got guaranteed.
And Derrick Henry took $8 million. In Dallas, he could have took $6 million because he wouldn't have paid taxes. So
yes, exactly. Cost of living. Yes,
the cost of living. You literally could have paid that man $6 million,
tax,
and it would have been the same difference as the 8. So Jerry's just. You know what? You asked how it must feel to be Jerry. It must feel dang gum good to be a billionaire, probably dating a 30-something-year-old and just out here doing what you want to do, acting crazy. Nobody can tell you anything because you're a billionaire. I'm pretty sure he's feeling great. He cares less. He's got the dumbest fan base in America.
Yep. Well, here's Jerry yesterday on 105.3 The Fan. Take a listen. This is interesting. This is what Jerry's doing these days. Here it is. It's coming. I promise.
I believe you.
It's coming. Jerry Jones. Well, let me just tell you.
All right, Jerry, last one. I want to finish up with a final taste of that Carolina victory. Xavier Legette, their receiver, says that he eats raccoon, and that set the food world ablaze. We talk about hunting and game with you. Have you ever had raccoon or anything similar, which would shock a lot of other non-hunters or game eaters?
I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yeah, the answer is yes. And I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful. And my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I They were just my sister and I as far as siblings. My mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh man.
And delicious, seriously.
I believe him.
So
now Black Ready, have you eaten raccoon or squirrel before?
So I have had squirrel when I was a child. That is one of the most sane things Jerry Jones ever said. My Uncle Ed, black cowboy hunter. I've had squirrel. We've had snake, alligator. I've had frog leg. Like I've eaten shark. I've eaten a whole lot of stuff. Snakes. So that's probably the most sane thing he said. We never had raccoons. I don't remember anybody trying to mess with raccoons. My family thought raccoons were like little people. So nobody ever wanted to mess with raccoons.
Did you have a pet raccoon? You got
no, raccoons are like humans, man. They're out there. They rolling dice. They got their little paws. They robbing and stealing. Raccoons are checking doorknobs. Raccoons are a weird animal. Like nobody in my family mess with raccoons. That bad juju. But he did eat squirrel. Grandparents, old uncles, and them, they did eat squirrel. Nobody's eating squirrel now. Like none of their kids are out there hunting squirrel. But that's an old person thing, and that's the most sane thing Jerry said in a long time. I can't even knock him.
But you said like I've had shark, I've never had snake, but I've had alligator because you can go places and it's on the menu. Eating squirrel brain's a little bit different than like I've never had frog legs, but you can buy them in the grocery store. I haven't seen a squirrel, at Acme in the.
I mean, if you go overseas, you see. You see a lot of things, So like I said, this is one thing I can't even knock away. It's insane to me that sounds sane coming from Jerry Jones, because all the crazy things he says. That's the most normal thing that I've heard him say. I mean, like I said, I don't think we even eat the squirrel brains. I don't know if we were doing that. So that's weird. Like I don't know about that part.
Well,
but
it's an ethnic thing. Like my father-in-law, who's from Egypt, they would eat the goat, and in poor countries, or people that don't have a lot of money, you eat everything on the animal. So they're eating goat brain. They eat everything from the goat.
I just instantly thought of Indiana Jones when they were eating monkey brains. They were serving monkey brains at the table. Was that Indiana Jones?
I hate Indiana Jones. I hate all those movies. All those like Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
What were you doing as a child? You just not watching stuff? That was the only thing that was on TV 34 times a day. Only kind of movies that were on television.
When I was a little kid, I probably watched more Star Wars. But then once I became like 10 years old, I'm like, no, this sucks. And then the new ones. No, I was watching sports. I had my baseball cards. I was playing sports outside. I didn't need the damn movies.
I'll buy that.
All right. I got this. Ready? So cue this up, Tyler. Jay Glazer. This is an interesting story. So what is this from the Fox NFL podcast? He tells a story. Remember how the bye week, everything changed with the Eagles? Have they lost since the bye week?
No,
right? Like, so from the bye week, this team has changed. The defense has looked different. I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen much of a change in the offense. Like, they actually committed to running the ball. I guess that's the biggest change in the offense.
Yes.
But the defenses look different or whatever. Here's Jay Glazer. He's sharing a story. Go ahead, Jay Glazer.
Well, I will tell you this. The drama was way bigger outside the building than inside the building. The first team meeting after Brandon Graham said what he said, Jalen and AJ got up and they're like, man, we're good. Just so everybody here knows, we're fine. We dapped each other up like we're good. Then Brandon got up and he apologized for being a distraction. You know, Brandon's a great dude, and he just spoke out of turn there. But I was told about it. It's like, dude, this guy, people there are like, it's going to get
all right. It's coming.
It's going to make us. Trust me, when this stuff happens, it turns us more into we get to fight the world. And that's what they are, man. They're Eagles football is bully football. You know, the way they get after you on defense, but certainly that offensive line, man, they just beat you down.
Tyler, pause it if you can. Pause it if you can. All right, so that's not what I wanted, but we're going to play it here in a second. It does feel like that everything that's happening in 2017, there were a lot of things that were happening kind of off the field, and the team was closer. And everybody was pulling in the same direction. Last year, that clearly wasn't the case. There was turmoil that was going on. All right, so here's the nugget from Jay Glazer. Here it is right here.
Brandon Graham actually with Big Dom went to his house and said, hey man, we need to kind of connect more with everybody here. Right? As a quarterback, you kind of get lost in that. There's so much other stuff you got to do. And he went out of his way. He met with the offensive line, connected. He met with Sirianni like 3 times or several times. Connect with him. connected with, like, he went out of his way with Graham, with everybody, to connect with them more, saying, okay, I understand there's more of the quarterback position than me just sitting here with the game plan and, making sure I could, throw here and throw there. And they all credit him with doing a great job for it. And it's just not out there how good of a job he's done to connect with his teammates.
There you go. And it's like the fact that Big Dom is this instrumental. Like last year, I kind of made fun of it, but he's literally breaking up fights on the sideline. He's really important to this organization. He's got a good feel. If that story is true, and I have no reason to doubt Jay Glazer, he's not a hot taker, right? That they sense that it's like, all right, this feels like it could be getting back to last year where Jalen clearly had a connection issue with his teammates. Those two go over there as the Mr. Eagle, Brandon Graham, and Big Dom, and they have a conversation.
Well,
this team has the feel for a champion, Black Ready.
Dom's been there for 2 decades. He's integral in a lot of things on a lot of levels, and people respect him, and he's earned that respect because he does a lot for the players. Like, he's there for the players. Like, in the middle of the night, you can't call Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman. You can always call Dom. So Dom is like the big brother to the team, and he also does so many functions there. But I will say this. I heard that, and I was like, okay, you're telling me this 10 weeks late. I don't care. In the offseason, all I heard was Jalen needs to be a leader. He needs to connect with the team. He's not cool with Sirianni. Then the season starts. They say they're cool. And then I watch all the audio stuff that the Eagles put out. I don't know, in training camp and preseason, the way he was talking to Saquon, the way he was ingratiating himself with him and AJ talking, the conversation. I'm like, so then you needed to double down and have another conversation? I'm not doubting that there was a conversation. I just don't want to say at the break that was the conversation to turn everything around. I feel more like the lineman going to the coach and say, hey, bro, we're injured. Wide receivers are out. Let's run the ball. And I heard you guys' conversation earlier. I just want to chime in on that about this being the best team. I think 2022 is better than this team, and I'm going off a feel until I get to a Super Bowl. This team does nothing but frustrate me every single week this year. I go first quarters without points. I'm upset. I'm not happy. I'm on a roller coaster. And in 2022, I know the schedule is easier, but we had the most sacks in history. We're getting turnovers all the time. I felt like I was partying more during 2022 than I am this year. And everybody has a career year when they play with Jalen Hurts. Saquon's got his best year. So did Sanders. So did AJ Brown. Like, I'm just saying, for me, I'm going off the field. They was getting all them sacks, bro, and all them turnovers. It was party city around here. So that's just my feel. We get to a Super Bowl, I might change my mind. We don't have to win it. We just got to get there. I might change my mind.
Remember that a lot of the fan base wanted Jonathan Gannon fired. I think they had 1 loss on the season.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm talking about the way I felt. I'm not revisiting. I'm not looking at the coaches. I'm talking about the sack after sack after sack, turnovers. CJ just barking and just talking smack, and just we don't get turnovers now. The defense is stout and they're shutting people down, but like that excitement, that feeling that I got in 2022, I don't really have that. I have stress this year. I like pain. I have an ulcer. So the second quarter.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. So, by the way, shout out to everybody watching on TV. To watch the rest of the program, go to allphly.com. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I think the defense is better this year, and the offense, it's just different because of Saquon. Now, Jalen was playing better in 2022. At this point in the season,
points. They were flying high. They were throwing the ball over the place.
Yeah,
he played the best game of his life in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. I mean, like I said, I got to see the culminate. Like you talked about earlier, we're not done the season yet. I got to see the culmination. I understand the conversation, but for me, I just remember having more fun. And not for nothing, 2017, we were putting up 50 burgers on people. Like, it was a jam session out there. Carson Wentz was slinging it. We thought he was All-American that year. So, I mean, I'm talking about my feelings. I'm not even looking at analytics. I'm not looking at coaches. I'm talking about the way that I felt. Like, when T.O. came here, bro, I cried because I just knew that I was going to have fun. We were out there doing snow angels in the snow like we were on the field because T.O. was out here just snagging balls, and I felt alive. So, I'm going on field.
All right, there he is. Black Gritty from blackgritty.com. Black Gritty, you got a show tonight, man, right?
I do. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. I'm double dipping today. So PHLY, you know what I mean? We're doing our thing. Cheap Seats, E-Rock, Ashworth, you know what I mean? Don't be talking crazy and living lavishly up in the studio. You know what I mean? I got to get out the house, though. I got to go over to the city. But you stay safe. Oh, let me tell you one fun thing, because the way you describe your daughters.
Yeah.
One of my favorite teachers, I'm still friends with her on Facebook, she had triplets. And so she calls her, she's always done it. her daughters are like 22 now, and she calls them thing 1, thing 2, and thing 3. And I just, when you were describing your daughters, remind me of her, because she's like, look, there's 3 of them. It's just easier for me to call them thing 1. And it's just funny every Christmas, you do the play on the book or whatever. So when you were saying that, it was just cracking me up, because it's awesome when you got a troop around you, and it's just easier to call them by number.
It is number 3. Yeah, actually, I have severe Elf on a Shelf fatigue at this point. On December 18th, last night the elves were throwing toilet paper on the tree. And
I
so
tell you
now they're
what,
sitting in the tree.
You do a bang up job over there as a dad for Christmas. My daughter's 17. I haven't had to put up a tree the last 2 years. Like, her mom has like 5 Christmas trees. She's like, Dad, you don't have to do it. So I'm out of that game. But I remember that game. It's a lot of work, bro. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm out of ideas. Google. I mean, the elves are running out of ideas. I mean, because the elves are the one doing it.
It's hard work out there for these guys.
All right,
thanks for having me on, brother.
Of course. There he is, Black Gritty, as we wrap up the program today. Make sure that you're following us on social media. My personal stuff is at John Jon Marks Marks Media. And get and follow us if you're watching on YouTube or you want to watch on YouTube. Just go subscribe to the channel. We are growing at a very high rate. So smash that subscribe button and like the shows, get involved in the shows. If you're able to watch live Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., you can get into our chat, be involved in the chat of the show, as we have a very nice community of mad chatters that watch the show live and talk along with us. So appreciate all you guys. Everybody, we're back tomorrow live at 8 o'clock. Hopefully, maybe I'll be here. Maybe I'll be back in the studio. But outside of a stomach bug, I will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. We'll talk to you then. See you.